What's going on, y'all? I just wanted to come back real quick and do a little bit of a follow-up to my video on Saturday. It's just kind of wild because it seems as though on one hand, a lot of people actually have, I guess, come to some sort of conclusion with this win that CU got over TCU this weekend. That's gonna make them some sort of, I don't know, like maybe playoff favorite or whatever. I don't know. It's real wild. I mean, and I get it, and I can understand Buffs Nation wanting to get behind and actually be fired up for what we seen this past Saturday. But let's actually keep this all in perspective here, because it really was a much closer game than what we should have liked for it to be, given on one hand, it is the reigning runner-up for the national championship. But the problem with that is that they got destroyed in that game. I mean, it was remarkable because a lot of people didn't believe that TCU could ever get to a national title situation, but they did. However, it just was the kind of situation they clearly weren't ready for whatsoever. And needless to say, it really didn't prove much, because I don't think they're too much better. And given that they lost to CU the way that they did, I mean, I feel like a lot of questions are going to be answered. Now, the flip side of that for them is with Sonny Dykes as the coach, he's kind of guy that could get this program turned around to where they could actually go on the kind of run that they did last year, and it could very well happen again this year. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but we can't rule that out, because now with there being a bit more parity in college football, I mean, anything's possible. It's just now, if anything, it does favor CU in the sense that maybe they become this upstart team that shocks everybody, maybe even makes it in the playoff. I don't think that's very realistic, and I don't see that happening. I imagine them getting to a bowl game at the very least, but that's really, or excuse me, at most, I should say. I mean, it's not something to where it's a similar situation to the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos, there's no way they're just getting 5 wins this year. I don't believe that CU is going to get just one win this year. They already met that benchmark. So I think we're going to be due for I would say at least 6 wins, and that's going to be enough to get you into a bowl game. But there are going to be some harsh losses. I mean, I'm thinking about SC. They look as good as they have in the past. I'm thinking about teams like Utah. I can't imagine with how significant they've been in terms of being a playoff contender. Hell, just what they've meant as far as the Pac-12 has been concerned over the last few years with football. I mean, that's not a team that you can ignore. And of course, you can't forget about UCLA, Oregon, Washington. I mean, last time I checked, those are still amongst the top teams as far as football is concerned in the Pac-12, or at least what's going to be left of it. All the same, though, I will admit I definitely like a lot of the things that I saw on Saturday. I mean, it was just really impressive, but I also got to think about something that I like that I saw this morning, particularly the first take debut of one Broncos Hall of Famer, Shannon Sharp. And he said it better than anybody else. I mean, skill players mean a lot, but what really wins you the game is in the trenches, the O-line and the D-line. I'm not so sure about either of those as far as CU is concerned right now. And to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, Shadir, Dylan, Travis, and all them, they showed out. They balled out, and they did the damn thing. But at the same time, that's just one game. Hell, shout out to D Mamba, but he was pointing it out. It's just one win, What happens from here? I mean, I'm expecting it to be a bit rougher against Nebraska. It's a winnable game because Nebraska isn't necessarily what Nebraska was once known to be, especially compared to Colorado. but that doesn't mean they're not going to get the better of what was quite a long running rivalry, if you want to call it that. I mean, Nebraska has definitely got the better of that for some time, but that's all history in and of itself. One thing I will say about this, though, is it's just going to be better than what we've seen in terms of football, whether it's the Buffs or the Broncos. That much I believe is absolutely certain. I'm not expecting incredibly big things. I mean, I know a lot of people are hyped for Sean Payton, and there's a lot of positives to take from that. But at the same time, you have to look at this from a very realistic perspective. The biggest aspect of this, especially when thinking about the Broncos, I mean, it's got to start with beating the Raiders. And that's Sunday. I mean, I can't look at it any other way than this is probably one of those few, if there have been any, must-win Week 1 games that I can remember as far as where this situation is concerned. Because now, with this situation, especially given that we've got Jerry Jeudy, I mean, we got some positive news. There's a particularly decent chance he'll be ready for the game, but beyond that, we still don't have Tim Patrick. I mean, I like what we got out of Marvin Mims. Cortland Sutton, to me, is still a really big question mark because I really don't know what to expect from this guy. I mean, past couple of years, he really hasn't been anything of what we thought him to be before he had got his big contract extension. So, just trying to keep things in its proper perspective. I expect a lot of good things this season for both the Buffs and for the Broncos, but it's not like we can just expect championship level shit at this point. I don't think we're anywhere remotely close to that just yet. Now, defensively, where the Broncos are concerned, I like where they're at. Now, the only thing to that, of course, is what are we still missing? Because I don't know necessarily that we've addressed everything that we needed to. We're a little bit better as far as the pass rush, but are we going to be good to stop the run? I like to think we are with the additions that we've made. We've actually kept a lot of the same pieces as far as that D-line is concerned, especially after the cuts and so forth. But in all honesty, I don't know necessarily that it's going to be there to that point. Week 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, I would imagine we're going to have a bit more of a definitive answer. Now, if the defense plays anything remotely like what they performed like throughout the preseason, I kind of feel like there are a lot of things that are very similar to the 2015 team that ended up winning it all. Now, I'm not saying that means we're winning it all, but I see an awful lot of similarities. Now, how much of that actually materializes remains to be seen. That said, let me know what you guys think. I mean, are we getting a little too hyped? Are we hyped at the right level, or are we not hyped enough? I mean, I think we just need to keep it somewhere in the middle, but I'll leave that up to you. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. I'll get at y'all.